What's going on YouTube? It's KEVINBO202 and I want to try something different out on my channel. I've been working on my music so much more recently and I don't know, I thought this could be a good way to start a new series. Today I'm going to be talking about the making of my first song, Hitman. Hitman has an interesting story behind it, but I'm going to start from the beginning. Okay. KEVINBO202, aka KEVINBO202. I've been a hip-hop fan for so long now. I can remember being 3 and 4 years old watching Eminem on MTV. In the early 2000s when I was a kid, I used to love rocking and Nelly and DMX, Ludacris of course. When I was younger, it was more just about the fun and the excitement to a track. But as I started getting older, I started getting more into hip-hop and listening to like storytelling tracks or more emotional type stuff. And I've listened to hip-hop like almost all my life now. For most people that have, of course, we love to write our own raps. And I mean, I've always kind of written stuff. When I was in high school and stuff, I used to write a little bit. But it was never nothing really serious. But then in 2014, my father had passed and I fell into a super deep depression. I moved out the house that my dad died in because it's hard to explain, but I just couldn't be in that environment. So I moved to one of my aunts back in 2014. Sometimes I even look back at some of those old videos and just the way I was talking and stuff, even though it wasn't as bad before I was recording videos when I was living there, but you can kind of hear the depression in my voice. People used to say that I was like staring at the camera like I was a serial killer, and I get that 100%, but I was just like emotionless. But one of the ways I was able to cope with my problems was just to write. And I mean, I've always wrote in copybooks and notebooks like goals I have and stuff I'm working on. It's just something I've always done, and I have books that I could pull out with 202 records on it from 2014. I was designing logos and I was just coming up with ideas because I had so many dreams. But with all the writing and stuff I was doing, honestly, it was all whack. And I had the idea of Self-Made Hostage EP, and I actually took a picture. I have the original artwork from 2014 on my computer. It looks absolutely like garbage. I literally set up my iPad in the woods and took a picture. You don't want to see it. God, I gotta show it.
Okay, my fault. I didn't actually have a Self-Made Hostage EP artwork. It was just the single artworks of the project. But yeah, this was one I remember taking in the woods. This was the artwork I made for I Ain't Mad At You Part 2. This was kind of up. It was just me and one of my exes, and I put a black line over her eye because she was actually referencing one of the verses. Yo, this was my dumbass in high school, right here.
I got it.
Yo.
Alright.
This was me f***ing around in high school.
Shit on the first night. I had it to like the third. Somebody did a new.
Oh yeah, and I was only recording this because I was trying to get my friend Brandon to play Five Nights at Freddy's on my iPad just to scare the shit out of himself. But apparently he already knew the game, so it didn't work out. But watch this, he gets kicked out of class.
I was so mad.
Look at Kevin, he's the same color as his shirt. So I tell you one thing.
What you trying to say? He's the same color as yours.
What?
The same color as yours. What you trying to say?
I tell you one thing. Our hairline is nice though.
How about you standing next to this wall, see if you can see you? How about you put this book bag on you? Okay, shit blends in with your skin color.
Hey, my hairline is messed up. I need a
Are
brush.
you wearing socks? All I can see is the Nike symbol.
You had black Nike socks on.
You're so corny. Come on.
That's what I playing. I played it.
You want to win?
I played Five Nights at Freddy's. I played all the Freddy's.
Yeah, because you're scared. You like playing with Freddy, don't you? You play with Uncle Freddy?
It's not scary.
Yeah, you like playing with
Why are you trying to give you an iPad? Give me an iPad and keep it like Michael Jordan.
You're scared. Just play, yo. It's for 2-year-old games.
How about you let me borrow this forever?
You beat it. You beat it. You keep it. You beat it. You keep it. Swear to God. You beat it. You keep it. Yeah, I'll do it. I know you're asshole. Now come on, flash, shake. You're gonna lose. Come on, shake on it. Look at you choking. I don't think I'll let you touch my iPad now.
You don't turn your video off. I know you used to videotape me yourself do things.
There you go. Come on, play. Come on, the thing's going. The thing's going.
Go ahead and play.
You can't even talk.
Hey, we can watch. We can watch it together because you're gay like that. I guess that's what you want to do.
Come on, play. Come on, play.
What's up, man? Huh?
That Chuck E. Cheese game?
Yeah, the Five Nights at Freddy's game. It's so lame.
Yeah,
Like, I think I'm gonna share. I already played the game before.
Play.
What was scared?
I'm not playing the game by the way.
Because you're nervous. You're nervous. Yeah, it's
What
not scary.
other videos you got on your phone?
Come on. Come on, look.
That's why you laugh.
Come on, put it in your hand.
Try to get off of this. Put it in your head, man. It's him! It's not even me. For what? Because I'm laughing?
Teacher said because you're loud and annoying. Then the drone popped off. Then the game ended. Somebody killed him.
God, I'm done.
Yeah, he for real got kicked out.
But Self-Made Hostage EP was just the idea. It was something I just wanted to work on because I felt like at that time I was making money, but I was so depressed. The depression I had was kind of like the fuel though to want to get out of it and to succeed. Being in the situation I was when I was 18, I was just super depressed, and I was in a relationship for 2 years, and when my dad died, I just didn't feel like she was there for me. I just felt so alone. Me and her break up, though we became friends later on, and I kind of just isolated myself away from the world, but I would just write. I wrote songs to Eminem's Just Don't Give a F. I wrote to Tupac's I Ain't Mad At You. Both were like in my own versions. I Ain't Mad At You, I remember I was talking about some of my old friends and when we stopped talking, and I do miss them and stuff like that. The Just Don't Give a F thing was just, of course, hard bars. That beat was amazing. And I recorded them on my iPad, and like I said before, it was absolutely garbage. I actually have that iPad still. This is the actual iPad. It's the 4th generation. I bought it on eBay. 16 gigs, the AT&T model that I never even used the internet with. I just use Wi-Fi. Look how worn it is. Jeez. What the hell did I do to this thing? But again, I was just writing. When I was coming up with the idea of Self-Made Hostage EP, then my idea started swaying, and I was kind of like, I don't want to do something rapping on a bunch of other beats, especially that aren't mine, because it just won't be real. I would like to be able to express myself, but I don't got the producer. I was hustling. Again, I was making good money. I bought a 27-inch iMac, and I bought a keyboard because when I was in high school, I took a music and film class, and we actually learned about iMacs, iMovie, GarageBand, stuff like that, and me and my friends would play around on the keyboard, making beats and stuff like that. So now I'm playing on a keyboard, and I can't produce, I can't make anything. At the time, I had no clue what I was doing. I was just doing stuff for fun. And when I was in high school, like when I was in study hall, or if I was finished my work and, you know, we were waiting for the teacher to say something, I would just start writing raps again. But I had no real flow. I was just kind of doing poetry. I wasn't even rapping the stuff I was writing. I would just write in poetry form. Some pretty long lines, some not so long. But there just wasn't like a real concept to the stuff I was writing. It was just more trying to figure out how I could rhyme this sentence with that sentence. Okay, so now 2015, I graduate high school. Business is booming. I had my first big multi-$1,000 deals. I was still like in some kind of shock because I was this broke kid and I was turning into this businessman. Everything was working out so much that I decided not even to go to college. I was going to go for business management, but things were just working too well for me too. As time was going on, fast forward from 2015 to 2016, I started to want to rap again. I was making money, I was living more comfortably, and I got out of that depression that I was in. That's the most important thing. And of course, YouTube, my platform, my voice, I thought, you know what, let me give it a shot. Let me see if I could come up with something. I was listening to some old beats and I wasn't sure what I was going to do first, but the Firm Phone Tap, a beat produced by Dr. Dre, which is extremely insane. I like the original song so much, and the beat is just dark and dope. So then I decided to do my first official, you could say, freestyle. It's not a song, it's just one little verse, and I wrote it inside of this book right here, which doesn't only have that verse, but it has my official first 3 projects in here. I've been using the same exact book, because I mean, look, it's got a lot of pages. This is the same book that I used for my 202 Tuesdays when I would write the script out every single time. You guys don't realize how much work I put into this stuff. But after I did so many 202 Tuesdays and I'm writing all these scripts, I realized that kind of reading off of this wasn't really that cool. So then later on, as I'm going through 202 Tuesdays, I actually start putting for the 8th step freestyle, or freestyle, whatever. Although 202 Tuesdays, they kind of die out. I just do it every once in a while now. But anyways, let me look for this freestyle. Okay, here we are. I wrote rap section later on in the book because I use this book for a lot of different things. Business stuff, you know, just to get ideas. I don't want to show too much because you guys can make fun of me for some of the stuff I wrote. Again, not everything I was writing was good, but this one dates back to 2015, October 2015. I originally titled it Random Bars Part 1. It was something I was doing. I was rapping I Love McConan's I Don't Sell Molly No More. I love this song. Again, keep in mind, I didn't have actual beats. So again, I was still rapping to other people's stuff. I wrote on a lot of different stuff. A lot of it is unfinished. It was just stuff that I started, and it was kind of just for fun. I wasn't really expecting to ever do anything with stuff. There was a song that I wanted to do called Rough Rhymes and Tough Times. I originally came up with this in another book that I did back in 2014 when I was in high school. And here we are. So we have Random Bars Part 2. This was written November 2015. I was just writing about what was going on in my life at the time. I graduated high school, but I don't know how. Didn't do shit when I think about it now. You know, whatever. But if we skip down a little bit, 3 days later, apparently, this was something I started writing. And what I was writing it to was the Firm Phone Tap. I put remix and making it like a freestyle. And it starts off with a line, I'm self-made hostage, graduated high school, never went to college. This was the first thing I released, and I actually released this in 2016, months later after I wrote it. I just wanted to see what the reaction reaction would be if I actually recorded something and put it out there. I had a decent mic, I had my computer, I had the instrumental, and I was ready to record it. So I recorded my first ever anything with music. If you go back and listen to it, you notice my vocals are deeper. I didn't have my like own distinct sound found yet. I really didn't find that till later on in Self-Made Hostage EP. But this was the first thing I put out, and the reception it got was pretty good. Even when I did the 202 awards, it got the most votes for I forget what category, but just the fact that my fans were like voting for that over other stuff, I thought it was really cool. And from doing that little 202 award ceremony or whatever, I don't know, it kind of just pushed me to want to do music, I guess you could say. Alright, so months later, the reason why I brought up me going to high school when I was writing raps, at that high school in my music and film class, I met this dude Justin, a good friend of mine still to this day. He was in a band and he actually started producing, and both him and my friend Lamar, together they produced the entire EP together, Self-Made Hostage EP. I finally found somebody that can make beats, and ones that were actually really good. So on the Firm Phone Tap Freestyle, I didn't have any beats, but I was able to record something. Justin started producing beats for my YouTube channel, hip-hop stuff, but nothing that I was writing to. And from realizing that he was able to do that and wanting to try out rap, I hit him up and I said, look man, I would love to be able to put out a project, can you help me out? And both him and Lamar pulled through. That brings us past 2015, 2016, here we are. The first ever song, actual song, because I had an actual beat now, that I actually wrote on March 6th. Well actually, that's a little bit of a lie, I'll explain that. And the song was originally called I'm a Hitman, but I thought Hitman, just keep it simple, it sounded better. When I was writing, I was kind of taking some techniques and stuff that I came up with beforehand. That was kind of what I went off with this track. And I had the title, actually, Hitman, in my head. Like when I was listening to this beat for the first time, the first thing that was coming to my head, I'm a Hitman. That's why I titled the song that. So the challenge I had to do with this was each line in the chorus end with something that rhymes with Hitman. So we have Click Fam, Big Van, Strip Man, Bin Ran, which really should have been Bin Run, but I was just playing on words. You get the point. People do it all the time. Big Land, Bin Tan, Dick Damn, Hitman, Hitman, Hitman. When they shoot, they hit man. About to drop a hitman, I'm a hitman. But the fun thing with this song is, although this is when I wrote everything together on this page, if I actually go back in the book, oh look, beat making, I wrote down some ideas and stuff I was playing around with. This was back in 2015. Oh yeah, and I wrote the That Part remix, which sounded absolutely horrible because I accidentally turned the vocals up way too much. I just thought that some of the stuff I came up with was kind of funny, and after I heard it and noticed I was rapping too close to the mic and the vocals were too loud, I didn't really care. I just wanted to put it out. Okay. So, July 1st, 2016. This was only a few days later after I wrote the That Part remix. I was writing a lot during this summer. That's when I came up with the Tumbling Out the Crib, Fresh Kicks, Nice Fragrance, the first verse of Hitman. Also the first part of the second verse. I guess you could kind of say it's a bridge. Kill the shit as a hobby, Mac 11 right beside me. Think I won't, homie, try me. I front your crib like Gianni. Gianni Versace, he got killed in front of his crib. That's where that came from if you didn't know. That was included, but there was also a part that I had written down and it was kind of too whack to actually use for the song. The beat actually switches up after that anyways. After I front your crib like Gianni, I wrote, don't test my patience, get schooled, I'm your aid, bitch. Lesson 1, stay off my dick. Lesson 2, I'm the shit. Again, everything I was writing, I'm not saying everything was great, but I definitely came up with some good stuff. So the hook was entirely new, but the first verse and the beginning of the second verse, they were both from months ago before the song came out. But after that, for the rest of the second verse, that's when I was writing to the actual beat at the end of the second verse, because when I am rhyming, it is always perfect timing. One song she will fall in love and then the next one she'll be crying. That's when I started actually rapping like directly onto the beat. And regardless of how people feel about the song, at the end of the day, this was my beginning. This was the first ever official song that I was doing, and I haven't found my vocals yet. I didn't know how I was going to switch my styles up. I didn't know how I was going to rap along this stuff. It was entirely new to me. Hitman was like before I found my own style, the way I rap things, the sound that it has. But this is the original, before anything, KEVINBO202 on rapping. After I'd done the song and after the first project came out, I even had thoughts of going back, taking the beat, and actually re-recording it, because now I know how to mix. The song literally wasn't mixed at all, and I would have rapped it differently. I would have rapped more angrily and had more into the track. But again, this is that before that. This is the original KEVINBO202. And somehow, to this day, this is the most successful song that I've done. It is the most viewed song that I've done, and it's in the lead by a lot if you include the explicit version of the song, the clean version of the song, and the music video. And it's actually the most sold single that I have on iTunes. Some people have told me that it's their favorite song of mine that I've done, and it's definitely one of the most fun ones that I've ever made. The beat was unique. It switches up later on in the track. That's why I rapped the chorus differently on the second and third verse. The reason why the first verse and the beginning of the second verse were taken from stuff that I wrote before and were put on this track was because when I was actually getting ready to do an actual verse, the tumbling out the crib, fresh cakes, nice fragrance, it just kind of came to my mind. And when I rapped it on the song, I realized it actually sounded pretty good. So I started rapping it on it, and I thought, you know what, let's put it on it. Same thing with the beginning of the second verse. But Hitman is the introduction to KEVINBO202 as a rapper. In the second verse, I say, I stay switching my flow because my flow is so ill, and what I talk about in my songs is real. I ain't no actor, I don't pose for film. I stay riding around in the Caddy DeVille. What I'm trying to say is, when I'm doing music, I'm trying to do it from my perspective on life, what I'm living, what I'm going through. I'm not writing songs based off the stuff that just randomly came off my head. People's perspective of me is some rich white boy kid that's entitled, had things handed to him. When I say I came from nothing, I really came from nothing, and I have quite a past. A lot of us do, especially ones that are going through things that are in certain environments. You might have done things or lived a certain way that you kind of, I don't want to say regret because I don't regret anything, but you do kind of wish you did things differently. I don't know, and I don't want to get too into that, but I just want to say that I was never an actual hitman. That's a play on words, but the gun talk and stuff like that, that's not stuff that I made up. I don't know why I'm getting so serious. I just want to say that I've changed a lot over the years. That old Kevin, he's still in here. Funny thing to point out that when I was actually writing the second verse, I screwed it up because when I am rhyming, it is always perfect timing. I actually wrote that early. I already known that I was going to do that because how the beat switches up, but I accidentally started writing that too early before that beat switches up like that. So before that part happened, I had to draw an arrow going all the way down and then end that verse off before it switches up. I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. But this is it. Hitman is the first ever anything I did with hip-hop. And regardless if I ever do actually make it or I'm just doing songs and I'm getting a little bit of success, I'm selling some CDs, some iTunes downloads, and I'm inspiring a couple hundred people, to me, that's enough for me. Of course, I want to be on a bigger platform and be able to inspire a bunch of other people, but the fact that I inspire the number of people that I do, and for people to support what I'm doing and to tell me that this is their favorite track and that's their favorite track, or they didn't like this one so much, but this one's really good. The kids that say that they're rapping because of me and they can't wait for my next project, I appreciate that so much, and I hope to one day be able to meet a bunch of you guys if I actually make it and I'm able to do live performances in your towns. Regardless of what happens, at least you know that I tried. No, Hitman, that's where it really started. That was the first track. That was the beginning of my rap career. And it almost didn't come out, if you guys remember. No pun intended. But I was Hitman. The song was actually meant to come out at the end of March. But I was involved in an extremely horrific, near-fatal car accident. Both cars were totaled. It wasn't our fault. My lawyer's still working on that case. Takes time with car accidents. But if I didn't have my seatbelt on that day, I 100% would have went through the windshield. Because of the seatbelt locking, my left chest, literally right here, hurts so bad. Any pressure on it hurts even after a year. But the seatbelt saved my life, guys. And if it didn't, Hitman never would have came out. Well, nothing would have came out. I'd be dead. Either that or ugly as hell. But Kevin, you already are. Shut up. I don't know. This is cool. I enjoy making this video. It kind of feels like almost like writing in my book. I almost said writing in a diary, but it's kind of personal, but it just feels like I'm doing more pages in my book. Hitman was so important to me because so many people connected with it. So many people said they loved it and they wanted to know if I was working on more music and this and that. People to this day still ask me to put out the instrumental to the song, which I will never do because I don't want a million people rapping on it. It's a dope beat, I know, but I kind of want Hitman to keep its own personal vibe. To my actual fans that enjoy my music and stuff like that, if you want me to continue to do this and maybe talk about some other songs that I've made and the stories behind them, I can do that. After Hitman came out, that's when I kind of started writing entirely to the actual beat rather than like I did with Hitman and have parts from stuff I wrote before. There's parts of songs that were switched around and words were taken out because I wanted to do things differently. We can talk about all that, but I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I had fun making it. That's the story behind Hitman, and I will forever be the Hitman. Alright guys, that's it for now. I'm KEVINBO202. I hope you enjoyed the video. And peace out, guys. Oh, and you guys see the bags, the dark lines under my eyes? Be aware, I am working so hard on new music. I am beyond excited to get this stuff out. It's pretty late at night right now, and when I'm done recording this, I'm actually going to be tweaking up some of the last songs on my next project, 2.0 Trap. But trust me when I say it's going to be worth it. This project is going to be so dope.
When I'm with the click fam, got a big fan. Hustling all night when we on the strip, man. See you on our block, and I bet you been ran. You know the hood is dark all throughout the big land. Always with new bitches, some dark, some of them been tan. When they see us out, ladies on the dick, damn.